Bleach refers to a number of chemicals which remove color, whiten or disinfect, often by oxidation. The bleaching process has been known for millennia, but the chemicals currently used for bleaching resulted from the work of several 18th-century scientists. Chlorine is the basis for the most commonly used bleaches, for example, the solution of sodium hypochlorite, which is so ubiquitous that most simply call it bleach, and calcium hypochlorite, the major compound in bleaching powder. Oxidizing bleaching agents that do not contain chlorine most often are based on peroxides, such as hydrogen peroxide, sodium percarbonate and sodium perborate. While most bleaches are oxidizing agents, some are reducing agents such as sodium dithionite and sodium borohydride. Bleaches are used as household chemicals to whiten clothes and remove stains and as disinfectants, primarily in the bathroom and kitchen. Many bleaches have strong bactericidal properties, and are used for disinfecting and sterilizing and thus are used in swimming pool sanitation to control bacteria, viruses and algae and in any institution where sterile conditions are needed. They are also used in many industrial processes, notably in the bleaching of wood pulp. Bleach is also used for removing mildew, killing weeds and increasing the longevity of flowers. History: the earliest form of bleaching involved spreading fabrics and cloth out in a bleach field to be whitened by the action of the sun and water. Modern bleaches resulted from the work of 18th-century scientists including Swedish chemist Carl Wilhelm Scheele, who discovered chlorine, French scientists Claude Berthollet, who recognized that chlorine could be used to bleach fabrics and who first made sodium hypochlorite, and Antoine-Germain Labarrègue, who discovered the disinfecting ability of hypochlorites. Scottish chemist and industrialist Charles Tennant first produced a solution of calcium hypochlorite, then solid calcium hypochlorite. Louis-Jacques Tharcopyrite first produced hydrogen peroxide in 1818 by reacting barium peroxide with nitric acid. Hydrogen peroxide was first used for bleaching in 1882, but did not become commercially important until after 1930. Sodium perborate as a laundry bleach had been used in Europe since the early 20th century, but did not become popular in North America until the 1980s. How bleaches work: whitening. Colors in most dye and pigments are produced by molecules which contain chromophores, such as beta-carotene. Chemical bleaches work in one of two ways. An oxidizing bleach works by breaking the chemical bonds that make up the chromophore. This changes the molecule into a different substance that either does not contain a chromophore, or contains a chromophore that does not absorb visible light. A reducing bleach works by converting double bonds in the chromophore into single bonds. This eliminates the ability of the chromophore to absorb visible light. Sunlight acts as a bleach through a process leading to similar results. High-energy photons of light, often in the violet or ultraviolet range, can disrupt the bonds in the chromophore, rendering the resulting substance colorless. Extended exposure often leads to massive discoloration, usually reducing the colors to white and typically very faded blue spectrums. Antimicrobial efficacy: the broad-spectrum effectiveness of bleach, particularly sodium hypochlorite, is owed to the nature of its chemical reactivity with microbes. Rather than acting in an inhibitory or toxic fashion in the manner of antibiotics, bleach quickly reacts with microbial cells to irreversibly denature and destroy many pathogens. Bleach, particularly sodium hypochlorite, has been shown to react with the microbes' heat shock proteins, stimulating their role as intracellular chaperone and causing the bacteria to form into clumps that will eventually die off. In some cases, bleach's base acidity compromises a bacterium's lipid membrane, a reaction similar to popping a balloon. The range of microorganisms effectively killed by bleach is extensive, making it an extremely versatile disinfectant. The same study found that at low sodium hypochlorite levels, E. coli and Vibrio cholerae activate a defense mechanism that helps protect the bacteria, though the implications of this defense mechanism have not been fully investigated. In response to infection, the human immune system will produce a strong oxidizer, hypochlorous acid, which is generated in activated neutrophils by myeloperoxidase-mediated peroxidation of chloride ions, and contributes to the destruction of bacteria. Classes of bleaches: Chlorine-based bleaches. Chlorine-based bleaches are found in many household cleaners. The concentration of chlorine-based bleaches is often expressed as percent active chlorine, where 1 gram of a 100% active chlorine bleach has the same bleaching power as 1 gram of chlorine. These bleaches can react with other common household chemicals like vinegar or ammonia to produce toxic gases. Labels on sodium hypochlorite bleach warn about these interactions. Chemical interactions. Mixing a hypochlorite bleach with an acid can liberate chlorine gas. Hypochlorite and chlorine are in equilibrium in water. The position of the equilibrium is pH dependent, and low pH favors chlorine, Cl2 plus H2OH plus Cl plus HClO. Chlorine is a respiratory irritant that attacks mucous membranes and burns the skin. As little as 3.53 ppm can be detected as an odor, and 1000 ppm is likely to be fatal after a few deep breaths. Exposure to chlorine has been limited to 0.5 ppm by OSHA in the U.S. Sodium hypochlorite and ammonia react to form a number of products, depending on the temperature, concentration, and how they are mixed. The main reaction is chlorination of ammonia, first giving chlorine, then dichlorine and finally nitrogen trichloride. These materials are very irritating to the eyes and lungs and are toxic above certain concentrations. Nitrogen trichloride is also a very sensitive explosive. NH3 plus NaOCl and NaO plus NH2Cl, NH2Cl plus NaOCl and NaO plus NHCl2, NHCl2 plus NaOCl and NaO plus NCl3. Additional reactions produce hydrazine, in a variation of the Olin-Raskig process. NH3 plus NH2Cl plus NaON2H4 plus NaCl plus H2O, the hydrazine generated can react with more chlorine in an exothermic reaction to produce ammonium chloride and nitrogen gas. 2NH2Cl plus N2H4 or 2NH4Cl plus N2, atmospheric carbon dioxide and water react with bleaching powder to release hypochlorous acid, which gives a characteristic smell to the bleaching powder. Hypochlorous acid decomposes readily to atomic oxygen. This atomic oxygen acts as bleaching agent through oxidation. 2CaCl, OCl, plus H2O plus CO2 CaCO3 plus CaCl2 plus 2HClO, HClO plus, O, 2HCl plus, O, and H2O plus Cl2. However, the place of atomic oxygen in accounting for the formation of chlorine is not as plausible as another theory based on the so-called chloride system employed in modern hydrometallurgy to dissolve ores with weak acids and highly ionic and concentrated salt solutions. Salts particularly effective, in this regard, include MgCl2, CaCl2, FeCl3 and, to a less extent, the monovalent NaCl. This is, in effect, an application of the non-common ion theory, or as discussed in Wikipedia under solubility equilibrium as the salt effect. With respect to bleaching powder, which has been described as a compound salt of the form Ca, ClO, 2CaCl2 Ca, OH, 2xH2O, the presence of CaCl2 in very concentrated solutions can greatly increase the activity level of weak acids. So, in this particular proposed application, H2CO3 from CO2 and moisture on the bleaching powder, acts on the CaCl2 to release some HCl, which acts on the HClO releasing chlorine, HClO plus HClH2O plus Cl2, or, the increasing acidity creates more HClO, which moves the following known equilibrium reaction to the right, CaCl2 plus 2HClO equals Ca, OH, 2 plus 2 centiliters 2. Now, the strength of the particular application of this theory is that a similar release of chlorine is not as easily observed with concentrated NaClO solutions. As the latter chlorine bleach also contains NaCl, and as the NaCl is not quite as effective as previously noted as, for example, with CaCl2, the ionic strength is not as great for noticeable chlorine formation. Sodium hypochlorite. Sodium hypochlorite is the most commonly encountered bleaching agent, usually as a dilute solution in water. This solution of sodium hypochlorite, commonly referred to as simply bleach, was also one of the first mass-produced bleaches. It is produced by passing chlorine gas through a dilute sodium hydroxide solution, Cl2 plus 2 NaONaCl plus NaClO plus H2O, or by electrolysis of brine. 2-ClorCl2 plus 2A, Cl2 plus H2O HClO plus Cl plus H plus. The dilute solution of sodium hypochlorite is used in many households to whiten laundry, disinfect hard surfaces in kitchens and bathrooms, treat water for drinking and keep swimming pools free of infectious agents. Moreover, due to transport and handling safety concerns, the use of sodium hypochlorite is preferred over chlorine gas in water treatment, which represents a significant market expansion potential. Calcium hypochlorite. Calcium hypochlorite, also known as chloride of lime, is made by reacting chlorine with calcium hydroxide, 2 centiliters 2 plus 2 Ca, OH, 2 Ca, ClO, 2 plus CaCl 2 plus 2 hours 2O. It is used in many of the same applications as sodium hypochlorite, but has the advantages of being more stable and containing more available chlorine. Calcium hypochlorite is the active ingredient in bleaching powder or chlorinated lime, which is usually a white powder containing calcium hypochlorite, calcium hydroxide and calcium chloride. A purer, more stable form of calcium hypochlorite is called HTH or high-test hypochlorite. Bleaching tablets contain calcium hypochlorite plus other ingredients to prevent the tablets from crumbling. A supposedly more stable mixture of calcium hypochlorite and quicklime is known as tropical bleach. Percent active chlorine in these materials ranges from 20% for bleaching powder to 70% for HTH. Chlorine. Chlorine is produced by the electrolysis of sodium chloride. 2NaCl plus 2 hours 2OCl2 plus H2 plus 2 nano, chlorine is used to prepare sodium and calcium hypochlorites. It is used as a disinfectant in water treatment, especially to make drinking water and in large public swimming pools. Chlorine was used extensively to bleach wood pulp, but this use has decreased significantly due to environmental concerns. Chlorine dioxide. Chlorine dioxide, ClO2, is an explosive gas and must be used where it is made or shipped and stored as dilute aqueous solutions. Despite these limitations, it finds applications for the bleaching of wood pulp, fats and oils, cellulose, flour, textiles, beeswax, skin, and in a number of other industries. It can be prepared by oxidizing sodium chloride with chlorine, 2NaClO2 plus Cl2 or 2ClO2 plus 2NaCl, but more commonly it is prepared by reducing sodium chlorate with a suitable reducing agent like methanol, hydrogen peroxide, hydrochloric acid, or sulfur dioxide, 2NaClO3 plus 2HX plus or A2NaX plus 2ClO2 plus RO plus H2O, where R is the reducing agent and RO is the oxidized form. Peroxide-based bleaches. After chlorine-based bleaches, the peroxide bleaches are most commonly encountered. Peroxides are compounds that contain an oxygen-oxygen single bond, OO. This is a fairly weak bond, so reactions of peroxides often involve breaking this bond, giving very reactive oxygen species. Most peroxide bleaches are adducts of hydrogen peroxide. They contain hydrogen peroxide, HOOH, in combination with another material like sodium carbonate or urea. An exception is sodium perborate, which has a cyclic structure containing two OO single bonds. All peroxide-based bleaches release hydrogen peroxide when dissolved in water. Peroxide bleaches are often used with catalysts and activators, for example, tetrastyrethylene or sodium nonanoyloxybenzene sulfonate. Hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is produced in very large amounts by several different processes. Its action as an oxidizer is why it is made and used in such large quantities. It is used by itself as a bleaching agent, for example to bleach wood pulp, hair and so on, or to prepare other bleaching agents like the perborates, percarbonates, peroxides, etc. Sodium percarbonate. Sodium percarbonate is produced industrially by reaction of sodium carbonate and hydrogen peroxide, followed by crystallization. Also, dry sodium carbonate may be treated directly with concentrated hydrogen peroxide solution. 2 Na2CO3 plus 3 hours duO2 or 2 Na2CO3.3 H2O2, dissolved in water, it yields a mixture of hydrogen peroxide and sodium carbonate. It is generally considered to be an eco-friendly cleaning agent. Sodium perborate. Sodium perborate, Na2H4B2O8, is made by reacting borax with sodium hydroxide to give sodium metaborate, which is then reacted with hydrogen peroxide to give hydrated sodium perborate. Na2B4O7 plus 2 Na0 or 4 Na-BO2 plus H2O, 2 Na-BO2 plus 2 hours 2O2 plus 6 hours 2O or, Na-BO2, OH, 2x 3 hours 2O, 2. Sodium perborate is useful because it is a stable source of peroxide anions. When dissolved in water it forms some hydrogen peroxide, but also perborate anion, OH, 3, which is activated for nucleophilic oxidation. Miscellaneous bleaches, peracetic acid and ozone are used in the manufacture of paper products, especially newsprint and white kraft paper. In the food industry, some organic peroxides and other agents are used as flour bleaching and maturing agents. Reducing bleaches, sodium dithionite is one of the most important reductive bleaching agents. It is a white crystalline powder with a weak sulfurous odor. It can be obtained by reacting sodium bisulfate with zinc, 2 NaHSO3 plus Zn and Na2S2O4 plus Zn, OH, 2. It is used as such in some industrial dyeing processes to eliminate excess dye, residual oxide, and unintended pigments and for bleaching wood pulp. Reaction of sodium dithionite with formaldehyde produces rongolite, Na2S2O4 plus 2CH2O plus H2O and NaOH2SO3 plus NaOH2SO2, which is used in bleaching wood pulp, cotton, wool, leather and clay. Environmental impact. A risk assessment report conducted by the European Union on sodium hypochlorite conducted under Regulation EEC 793/93 concluded that this substance is safe for the environment in all its current, normal uses. This is due to its high reactivity and instability. Disappearance of hypochlorite is practically immediate in the natural aquatic environment, reaching in a short time concentration as low as 10 to 22 I1/4 gram per liter or less in all emission scenarios. In addition, it was found that while volatile chlorine species may be relevant in some indoor scenarios, they have negligible impact in open environmental conditions. Further, the role of hypochlorite pollution is assumed as negligible in soils. Industrial bleaching agents can also be sources of concern. For example, the use of elemental chlorine in the bleaching of wood pulp produces organochlorines and persistent organic pollutants, including dioxins. According to an industry group, the use of chlorine dioxide in these processes has reduced the dioxin generation to under-detectable levels. However, respiratory risk from chlorine and highly toxic chlorinated byproducts still exists. A recent European study indicated that sodium hypochlorite and organic chemicals contained in several household cleaning products can react to generate chlorinated volatile organic compounds. These chlorinated compounds are emitted during cleaning applications, some of which are toxic and probable human carcinogens. The study showed that indoor air concentrations significantly increased during the use of bleach-containing products. The increase in chlorinated volatile organic compound concentrations was the lowest for plain bleach and the highest for the products in the form of a uroethic liquid and gel-euro. The significant increases observed in indoor air concentrations of several chlorinated VOCs indicate that the bleach use may be a source that could be important in terms of inhalation exposure to these compounds. While the authors suggested that using these cleaning products may significantly increase the cancer risk, this conclusion appears to be hypothetical. The highest level cited for concentration of carbon tetrachloride is 459 micrograms per cubic meter, translating to 0.073 ppm, or 73 ppb. The OSHA allowable time-weighted average concentration over an 8-hour period is 10 ppm, almost 140 times higher. The OSHA highest allowable peak concentration is 200 ppm, twice as high as the reported highest peak level. Further studies of the use of these products and other possible exposure routes may reveal other risks. Though the author further cited ozone depletion greenhouse effects for these gases, the very low amount of such gases, generated as prescribed, should minimize their contribution relative to other sources. Disinfection: sodium hypochlorite solution, 3–6%, must be diluted to be used safely when disinfecting surfaces and when used to treat drinking water. When disinfecting most surfaces, 1 part liquid household bleach to 100 parts water is sufficient for sanitizing. Stronger or weaker solutions may be more appropriate to meet specific goals, such as killing resistant viruses or sanitizing surfaces that will not be in contact with food. See references for more information. In an emergency, drinking water should be treated by boiling for 1–3 minutes, longer at higher altitudes. If boiling is not possible, water can be chemically treated with a ratio of 2 drops of plain liquid household bleach per liter of water or 8 drops of bleach per gallon of water. 1/2 teaspoon bleach per 5 gallons of water. Do not use powdered bleach, or bleach with scents, cleaners or other additives. Do not collect water for treatment from floodwaters or other potentially contaminated sources. If water appears dirty or cloudy, let it settle and/or filter the water before adding the bleach. Let treated water stand covered for 30 minutes. If water is still cloudy after filtering, double the amount of bleach used. If the water is very cold, either warm it before treatment or double the treatment time. Treated water should still have a slight bleach odor after treatment. If it does not, repeat the treatment. If no bleach odor is evident after a second treatment, discard the water and find a better water source. Inappropriate dilutions of bleach can endanger your health. A weak solution of 2% household bleach in warm water is used to sanitize smooth surfaces prior to brewing of beer or wine. Surfaces must be rinsed to avoid imparting flavors to the brew. These chlorinated byproducts of sanitizing surfaces are also harmful. U.S. government regulations allow food processing equipment and food contact surfaces to be sanitized with solutions containing bleach, provided that the solution is allowed to drain adequately before contact with food, and that the solutions do not exceed 200 parts per million available chlorine. If higher concentrations are used, the surface must be rinsed with potable water after sanitizing. A 1-5 dilution of household bleach with water is effective against many bacteria and some viruses, and is often the disinfectant of choice in cleaning surfaces in hospitals. The solution is corrosive, and needs to be thoroughly removed afterwards, so the bleach disinfection is sometimes followed by an ethanol disinfection. Even scientific-grade, commercially produced disinfection solutions such as Virucidin X usually have sodium hypochlorite as their sole active ingredient, though they also contain surfactants and fragrances. See hypochlorous acid for a discussion of the mechanism for disinfectant action. Treatment of gingivitis: diluted sodium hypochlorite at a rate of 2,000/1 may represent an efficacious, safe and affordable antimicrobial agent in the prevention and treatment of periodontal disease. Color-safe bleach: color-safe bleach is a chemical that uses hydrogen peroxide as the active ingredient rather than sodium hypochlorite or chlorine. It also has chemicals in it that help brighten colors. Hydrogen peroxide is also used for sterilization purposes and water treatment, but its disinfectant capabilities may be limited due to the concentration in the color-safe bleach solution as compared to other applications. See also, % active chlorine, bleach field, household chemicals, tooth bleaching, references. Further reading: Bodkins, Dr. Bailey. Bleach. Philadelphia, Virginia Printing Press, 1995. Trotman, E. A Textile Scouring and Bleaching. London, Charles Griffin and Colorado, 1968. ISBN 0-85264-067-6. External links: Bleach in Britannica, bleach.